So I wanted to do a video about like weird things I'm noticing about Myron. And I don't mean like in a I'm gonna break up with him over it type of way, but just like weird things that I'm making notes of. In the event that it becomes so many things that I do eventually break up with him, but not like complaints, not like complaints like what happened the first time we were dating, nothing like that, but just like getting to know him a little bit better and spending more time with him now, like spending the entire day together. We've done that twice now, so of course we've had the whole day to actually have conversations and actually spend time getting to know each other. So he'll show up at like noon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon and go home at like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. So we have a good 7, 8 hours to spend together, or he'll come a little bit earlier in the day at like maybe 11, try to get here at 11, 11:30 in the morning, 12, 12:30 in the afternoon, something around that area, and then leave at like 7:30 at night. So we've done this twice now, and it's just weird, quirky shit that I'm noticing that I'm curious if it's gonna eventually drive me up the wall. Now I have to be honest because this is like it's not one of those things where like the person who said we're not going to work out because he's my ex is not that type of situation. This is a new type of situation where it has to do with intelligence and small talk and borderline obsessive compulsive behavior. Just a few things I'm noticing over the course of the last like 4 days. So, like yesterday, the day before yesterday was raining, and I had a little bit extra money on my Cash App. So I walked to the store. I walked the walk from my apartment to the dollar store down the street, like 2 or 3 times a week to get cigarettes or cat food for the stray cats out here, or like whatever I need from the dollar store, like quick food or lunch meat or bread or shit like that. But I take the walk like 2 or 3 times a week, and it's an hour walk. It's 30 minutes there and 30 minutes back. So I had taken the walk, and I had told Myron that I was going um to the store and that I would call him when I got back to the house or whatever like that. So we had been on the phone before I had left the house to go get the cigarettes. So that was one phone call. I got like 10 minutes, because 10 minutes out of the 30 minutes, I was 10 minutes down the road, and I had just hit the part of the road where it was no longer just walking through the grass in the people's yards, because it's like a 2 lane road, and there's houses on each side of the road, and there's just yards lining the edges of the 2 lane road. So you're walking right against the white paint on the edge of the road, and other than that, there's grass in people's yards from yard to yard, and driveways and yards and all like that. So you're walking like on the edge of their yard, right next to the line of paint, but you're like very, very close to traffic. So you do that for about 10 minutes of the walk, and then for the last 20 minutes it branches out into sidewalks on both sides of the street. So I had just gotten onto the sidewalk on the left hand side of the street, and you have to cross over to the right hand of the street to get to the Dollar General itself, because that's where the crosswalk button is on that side of the apartment of the shopping center complex. So I was on the left hand side of the street, and like as soon as I hit sidewalk, Myron calls me for a second time, and he's like, "Did you did you want me to talk to you while you were walking?" And I was like, "No, I would rather listen to my music because it's an hour long walk. I don't want to just be talking on the phone for an hour. Like I'm gonna have to hold my phone and do all this shit. Like I just want to listen to my music." So we hang up. It's lightly raining. Like I have an umbrella in my hand. I have a phone in the other hand. Had the phone in the hand because he had just called me, but I was listening to my music, and then I realized like I had been holding the phone the whole time, and it was uncomfortable to hold the umbrella, so I just put all of it in my pocket and just held the umbrella and just kept walking. So I cross over to the right hand side of the street. I get into the dollar store. He calls me again, and he's like, "Are you at dollar store yet or not?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here. I'll call you when I get out of the store. Give me a minute. So that was like the third phone call. So I get my coffee, I get my cigarettes, I get my coffee creamer, my sugar, whatever it was I needed to get for that day. And I had all of it in a bag. So now I'm holding a bag of groceries, my phone, and an umbrella, and it's raining. And so it's like it's a lot to have to hold and juggle for a 30-minute walk home on the side of the road. Like you're walking through yards and puddles of water and shit. And I didn't want to have to hold the phone and try to talk. So I just stood outside of the Dollar General and I was like, listen, I'm on my way back home. I got too much stuff in my hands. It's going to take me about 20 minutes to get back home. Um, I'll talk to you when I get back home. So I got like 10 minutes down the road, he called me again. That was the fourth phone call. I don't even remember what he called me about that time, but he called me about something and he was like, something about talking or whatever. And I was like, I'll call you. He didn't call, he texted me that time. He texted me something or another. And I was like, we'll talk about it when I get back to the house. My hands are full. I can't talk right now, or something like that. And I'll text you when I get home. I'm only 15 minutes away. He calls me four more times in the 15 minutes it takes for me to get back to the house. And I was like really starting to get uncomfortable. I was like, what the fuck? So here I'm trying to walk and like my phone just ringing off the whole walk home is unpleasant. I was like interrupting the nice rain on the umbrella and the sound of the water in the cars and interrupting my like I like to walk to be in the nature of it all because there's treadmills right here at the gyms at the apartment complex. I could just use those. But I like being out in nature when I work out. I don't like being on a treadmill in a gym room or whatever in a gym. Like I like being outside when I work out. So, it was just killing the vibe of my walk. And it was four times. So now we're at what, like seven phone calls in the span of just 1 hour. So I got home. I didn't even want to call him and talk to him. It was like, that's excessive as fuck. And that's what I told him. I texted him. And I was like, Myron, you could be a bit excessive. Why did you call me four times in the span of 15 minutes? I told you we would talk when I got home. It's only been 15 minutes of a walk. And his explanation was that I was walking home in the rain on the side of the road and he was worried about me and I wasn't answering the phone. So he was worried. And I'm like, okay, that I can understand for someone who is overly anxious and has two daughters and he's always overly anxious about them and overprotective and shit that like that probably made sense in his head, but it still was excessive as hell. And I'm like, that was unnecessary. That was totally unnecessary. Like, you don't need to check up on me every 3 minutes. I'm an adult. I'm not dead. Like, that was a little over the top. So I told him that, and he apologized about seven times when we finally got on the phone. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm overprotective. I'm like, you need to work on that because you blew my phone up in the span of 15 minutes, and I was trying to get home. And if I had answered my phone every time you called me, it would have taken me even longer to get home. I had a handful of stuff. You knew I had just went shopping. You knew it was raining. Why are you blowing my phone up, trying to make me do all this shit at the same time? So it was rubbing me the wrong way. So that's one thing I noticed. And it's second thing that kind of ping pongs off of that would kind of be his level of clinginess. Like when he likes a person, he wants to be 100% consumed by them. Whereas I'm still introverted and I still need that time to myself to recharge. So sometimes I won't answer his text right away, or I won't answer the phone if he calls right away, or if I'm on the phone with somebody else, I won't hang up the phone to pick up the phone to talk to him. Like, I will still stay on the phone with my friends for as long as I want to until we're done talking, then call him back. Like, I need that break away from him because, like, all throughout the day he's texting me, all throughout the day he's calling me. And so, like, it could get to the point where on my phone's call log is like 10 phone calls of nothing, one day worth it's just like 10 phone calls and it's nothing but Myron. And that's just how often he calls all throughout the day wanting to talk. And I'm like, it's just excessive. And that's just the phone calls. Like, we're texting all throughout the day and talking all throughout the day. And it's like the whole day is nothing but Myron. And I'm like, it's a little bit much for someone like me who is a little bit introverted and also would never give any one person that much of my time and attention. So, like, I'm gonna have to put some boundaries in place, and now I don't have to tell him I'm doing that, but just take that, intentionally take some of that time back for myself, and stretch that time out so that it's not that much going to just one person, because that's a lot. So that was two. Now, the thing that's bothering me the most, because the whole blowing up my phone while I was walking, that's only happened once. He's never done that the first time we dated, and it's only happened once this time now that we've dated, and I'm hopeful that it won't happen again. I can't say it won't, but I'm hopeful that it won't. Um, but what's really got me most distraught might be the correct word, when you're really hopeful for a new relationship and you really admire the person you're dating for a lot of reasons, and he is very intelligent, but he's not very intellectual. So, like, this is what I'm noticing about Myron, which is making me wonder if he might not have a mental handicap of some sort. He repeats stuff like someone with a brain trauma. And I know that because I have a guy friend named Sam who has a brain injury, who repeats stuff and he speaks very slowly. He had a head injury at some point when he was in his younger years, like his 20s or 30s. He's like 50 now. And he speaks very like you say something to him, and this is how long it says. You'll be like, "Hey Sam, how you doing today?" "I'm doing okay. How you doing, Micah?" Like, he draws so slow when he talks, and it takes him like a full 5 seconds to respond to anything you say. So, like, he's got a brain trauma, and it largely affects his communication. So, like, he repeats the same conversation every time you talk to him. Now, me and Sam are chill, and because I know the situation he's in, I don't hold it against him in any way. But, like, it can get kind of redundant when we talk on the phone. So a lot of the time when we're on the phone, we're not actually talking. Where it's a lot of empty space on the phone, but we're busy doing other things while we're on the phone. So the time kind of passes by, and then you get to lively talking, and then it dies down again, and a lively talking. We could do that for 2.5 hours every time we talk, and we talk a couple times a week, and we've been doing that for the last month almost now. So that's Sam. But with Myron, he repeats the same conversation every day until a new topic comes up. And it's weird. It's like, it's not it's not like when someone doesn't know how to hold a conversation, so they're trying to shoot the breeze, but they're just vaguely repeating stuff on occasion. It's not even like that. It's like he presents it like it's a brand new conversation topic. And he says it with the tone of voice like he's never said it before, with the full blown excitement and interest and excitability and entertainment, as though he thinks you're going to respond to it with the same level of enthusiasm as though it were your first time hearing him talk about it. But he does that with the entire conversation, but the whole conversation is a whole conversation of stuff you've heard before. And the whole conversation is that way for about 5 days in a row. So, like, it's to the point I'm wondering if there's something wrong with the way he thinks. Because I'm like, it's weird to the point that it's unavoidable. It would be like if I got up here tomorrow and made this exact same video and uploaded it again and then did it for the next 3 days in a row, and it was almost recorded exactly the same way in the exact same sequence, and I fully expected you guys not to find it weird. Like, that's what he's doing. So, like, it's weird. And, like, he does that with everything we talk about until something new happens in his life, and then he harps on that new thing for like the next 4 to 6 days until something else happens, and then it just repeats. So, like, this has been going on for like coming up on a week and a half now, and I have not heard anything new that I hadn't heard since the night I asked him back out. And I'm like, okay, so the problem with me being a smart woman and hating small talk and really only wanting to talk to people who are either one, extroverts who know how to have a lively conversation, and it's deeper than small talk, even though it's lighthearted talk and it's not necessarily intellectual talk. It is still a flowing conversation that engages both parties, and both parties can equally speak back and forth, and there's a flowing of conversation. Something extroverts are very good at. Something introverts are very good at when they get around the right people. So you put an introvert and an extrovert together, like, you're almost guaranteed to have a great time. So I like extroverts like that, like the way Johnny is. He may not consider himself to be an extrovert, but like our conversation is great. Like, especially when he gets a little caffeine in him, he can talk for forever, and I love that. So like we talk, we Snapchat and we talk and we do all that, and we're still friends, so we still talk. But with Myron, it's just like I feel mentally, I guess mentally, I'm starting to feel mentally drained again. Um, and it's like it's not a physical drain like it was the first time we were around. Now it's like a mental curiosity. It's just a big question mark at this point in the relationship. It's just a question mark of why is he doing that, and two, how long can I tolerate it before it becomes a problem for me mentally, because it's so non-stimulating and it's the basis of our communication. That's the way it's going. And I'm like, and that is something he did even when we dated the first time. That's something he did even when we were friends. That's something he's always done as far as I've known him. So that's something he's going to continue to do, most likely, as far as I know him. And the problem I'm running into with that is I don't want to change him. It's not that I couldn't, every time he does something that I don't like, ask him to work on it. It's that I don't feel I have a place asking someone to change their personality for me. And if it were a something like a real problem, I would address it, like him blowing my phone up when we had already agreed I would call him in 15 minutes. I addressed that because that was excessive and a little bit obsessive. But him talking about the same topics all the time, that's just a personal preference of mine. That's not my conversation style. So do I whine about it? I asked him about it today. I was like, why do you repeat the same stuff all the time? And he was like, I'm sorry, but he didn't explain why. And I'm like, I don't want us to be in this type of dynamic where you do something strange, I acknowledge it, and you're just apologizing. And so it might make him feel like he's constantly having to look out for all these little things, and I don't want that strain on him, and I don't want the strain on me. It's just little things that you don't necessarily notice until you're spending a high amount of time with a person. So it's just like some examples. I'm about to end this video, but like just a couple of little examples. It's like he'll be like, I just want to let you know that I think you're a really great girl, and I'm glad we got back together. And that's a sweet sentiment. Like, you, any girl would be glad to hear that in a new relationship. But like, when you say it 7 times in the span of 3 days, it no longer has the same weight, and it starts to sound cheap and fake and like something whatever the fucking word is. It feels like something you're saying out of performance, or out of whatever that weird ass repeat thing he's got going on, where it feels like he genuinely has nothing else to say. But it's more than just not having anything to say. It's the way he presents it like it's a brand new idea. So like, he'll be like, yeah, I don't really like drinking coffee too much, but I really like Monsters. And then tomorrow when we get on the phone, at some point within the first 15 minutes of our conversation dying down, he's going to interrupt the silence with, man, I really wish I had a Monster, because like, I don't really like drinking coffee, but I really like drinking Monsters. He's like, I love drinking Monsters. Like, they're just so good. But I'm like, why would you interrupt the silence to say something you told me yesterday when you interrupted the silence? Like, at the almost the exact same time of the lull in the conversation, almost to the exact wording, and he has like a cross between eidetic memory and photographic memory. So like, maybe it's the way his brain is set up, where like it relays shit in a sequential order for him, and he just recalls it, and it literally comes out sounding photocopy of the exact last conversation we had. But like, when it's 4 or 5 days in a row, you kind of don't want to pick up the phone anymore, because you already know what he's going to say. It's not stimulating to your mind. It's a bunch of small talk for the hour and a half that we're on the phone. And then he wants to be on the phone for an hour and a half, at least 3 or 4 times throughout the day. And I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. So like, I'm already at the point where I'm like avoiding phone calls and shit, because it just is too much of it. But I'm like, how much of it am I supposed to tolerate? And how much of it can I tolerate? So like, I'm already doing like salvage work here because of his personality. But I'm like, is personality really like more important than comfort? Because like, you can have a really good man who's literally not your type, and it seems like the whole nice guy trope, where like, I'm so good and I give her money and I give her attention and time and we have sex and I do everything for her, but she don't like me. And I'm like, maybe your personality is shit. So I'm like, I don't know if there's such a thing as getting both a good man with the personality you like, or if this is what they mean when they say in relationships that everybody kind of makes concessions a little bit, where I might have some traits he doesn't like and he might have some traits I don't like, but you don't give up over the little things. That's where I'm stuck between not giving up over little things and realizing his personality is pretty bland, pretty weird, pretty awkward, pretty strange, pretty excessive, pretty obsessive, pretty over the top. And even though I know he's in love with me, because he was in love with me when I first came to the group home, and it's been almost 4.5 years since then, and he's never not been, it can't all be about him. So what do I do with this current situation? So if you have any advice, any ideas, any grand words of wisdom for me, drop them in the comments below, because I genuinely don't know if this is one of those circumstances that's only going to get worse for me, or if it's something I could find a way to tolerate. Maybe learn how to tolerate / talk to him about maybe working on and seeing what the end result of it might actually be. So let me know what your thoughts are. Love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.